So it's time for the second Q&A I've ever done on this channel, and you guys submitted some questions, so let's get right to it. The first question: do you like Subway, and do you have a PS1? Now, to go to the Subway part of that question, I have had Subway only once, and that was in an airport in Detroit. I can actually remember I was in Detroit, and I can even remember the Gatorade Cup Series race that came out on that day. It was the Season 4 Pure Michigan 400. Um, so I can't really rate it, to be fair. Um, so I mean, it was good when I had it. I don't know if it's always good. I don't know if I got lucky. I mean, it wouldn't be the number one place I would go to get whatever you guys call it. It's called a hoagie where I live. I think it's a submarine where everyone else lives. So it wouldn't be the number one place to go and get a sandwich. But I mean, I guess if there was nothing else, maybe I would go. And I do have a PS1. It's very old, obviously. So yeah, I do in fact have a PS1. What is your favorite NASCAR video games excluding NR 2003? Great thing you excluded NR 2003 because that would be number one for sure. But when I talk about favorite NASCAR games, I'm gonna just eliminate any computer game from Papyrus or whatever, because I feel like those are a little cheap thing, because they're all good. Anything made by Papyrus was good. So I'm going to go to the console games. I'm going to say any EA Sports game from NASCAR Thunder 2003 to NASCAR 07. I mean, each one of those had its own little shine. Each one was, great, and it kind of added on to what the other one did so well. Thunder 2003 is one that really gets forgotten about when talked about great NASCAR video games. Everyone goes to like 2004, 2005, 2006. But 03 was basically 2004. I mean, it had the very, very deep career mode. It was basically 2004, just a little bit older. 2004, it expanded on 2003. It fixed some of the issues, made the career mode better, made the physics better, made the graphics a little better. I mean, both those games are very good. 2005 was completely different. The career mode wasn't exactly the same. It wasn't like driving for your own team. You could still do that. However, you had 4 divisions that you had to make your way through the ranks, and you had to sign contracts. You had Ace Moneymaker as your little agent. I thought that was very cool how they did that. It was very, very interesting. You had to pick. Sometimes there was a conflicting schedule what you wanted to do, and then there was 2000 NASCAR 06 Total Team Control, which was the same career mode as 2005, but now they have where you can switch the cars. So if you're driving for DEI and you're driving Dale Jr., you can now switch to the one of Martin Truex Jr., and you could drive his car to try and make his way up to you, or try and help yourself out however you can. You have the different things you could ask the driver to block for you, to follow you, to draft with you, stuff like that. And then NASCAR 07 was basically 2006. You could still control around. It was just a little different. They updated some graphics a little bit. So overall, if NASCAR Thunder 2003 to NASCAR 07, give me one of those and I will definitely play it for PlayStation 2. They were all very, very good. Rank your top 5 favorite NR 2003 races you've announced on this channel. Now, this one took a little bit to think about because you kind of have to go back through. Most of the races I thought of were recent because really I didn't really like any of the older races. I thought they were all like crashy and whatnot. So for number 5, this is actually a really weird one. The Gatorade Cup Series Season 6 Lennox 301. Not many people think about this. It's New Hampshire. New Hampshire in NR 2003 normally sucks. This was the one New Hampshire race that actually kept on the schedule for one more season that I really enjoyed. They went 3 wide with under 10 to go for the lead. I mean, I was ecstatic about that. It was a fun race to call, actually. Not normally, New Hampshire races are boring, but it had battles for the lead throughout most of the race. They went 3 wide at the end there. There was some different pit strategies. Some drivers actually came forward on that final restart and got inside the top 10 on days where they were like outside the top 15 before the caution came out. So yeah, that race is definitely ranked up there in terms of ones that I've announced. I was very excited during it. You could hear me when they go through, I'm like, oh my god, they're 3 wide for the lead. So that one was definitely one of my favorites to do. Number 4, I have the Gatorade Cup Series Season 6 last race to make the Chase 400. Once again, another crazy race, a different race, and it was all because of the points and the chase on the line, drivers having to get their way into the chase and whatnot. So that made it all the better First, you had drivers that were trying to make the chase crash out early on, and then TJ Hanley was running inside the top 10 pretty much all of the race, and it was definitely going to make he was basically locked for the chase, and then he blows it. He has some sort of mechanical issue, so I exclaimed that during it, and then he drops to pit row, and he's out, and then he's out of a chase spot unless some things go right, and then you have a battle for the lead at the end between Justin Heath and Luke Rainey. They wreck on the final lap somewhere back in the pack. They race back to the caution flag and the checker flag. Heath beats out Luke Rainey in a battle which I thought wasn't going to impact the chase at all. In fact, Justin Heath got his second win of the season, and it moved him into a chase spot over TJ Hanley. So if Heath doesn't win that race, Hanley probably, Hanley's probably in the chase. Or if Hamill finishes a few spots lower, Heath gets inside the top 10, then Hanley is the first wild card. So it was a great race, and if some stuff went different, it would have been interesting. And number 3 of the Target Series Season 6 Subway 300. This is another race which not many people probably think of in terms of it's Phoenix. It's a Target Series race. Phoenix normally isn't the best. There's good race there, but it's not normally the best. This was one of those races, though. I like races where you can pass for the lead, but it's not overdoing it. I thought this race was pretty good like that, and it had pit strategy. So you had the 07 who led them into pit road. I think it was Alexander Rowe. He took 4 tires. Luigi, I think, came in second. He was also taking 4 tires. But then he got stuck in the pits because like the 28 was left with 2 tires and then got hit into the inside wall. So then Luigi had to wait for the 28 to warp back. And then the 42 left and he was in the 30th position. And then in the final 5 laps, it's the 07 who restarted, I think, in like 16th or 17th on the 4 tires. The 42 who restarted like 30th. And the 16 who restarted like 29th. All in like the top 5 at the end. It ended up being the 07 and the 42 that finished 1-2 on those 4 tires. It was very cool to see like the tire wear kind of come into effect, the pit strategy come into effect. It was one of my favorite races to call because I got really excited about how like some of these drivers that were coming from the back to the front, and that was one of the better races I've ever had to call. For number 2, I have the Pennzoil Truck Series Season 3 Chevy 250. One of the few seasons where I used the knockout chase elimination, a format which I hate and despise, but it actually produced one of my favorite races I've ever commentated, and it was all because of the battle between Luigi and Luke Rainey for the championship. I think it was with about 6 or 7 to go. Luigi made a 4-wide move off turn number 2, and they hit down the backstretch. I remember that. That was pretty cool to see the championship contenders beating and banging. Luke got a good run on the top side, I remember, something like that. And then at one point, Luigi got back around him because the 88 tried to make a move into turn 1. But then the 88 got back in line. Then I think the truck in front of him looked to the inside. The 88 then tried to make it 3 wide. He got tight. And then the 32 pulled off the top side and got clear. And then he ended up winning the championship. But it was one of my favorite championship battles, one of my favorite races. It was a chaotic race. Very, very cool. The truck races at Homestead never disappoint. And right there, that's another one. They were 3 wide pretty much the whole race, 4 wide at points. It was a very, very entertaining race. But it's topped by number 1, which is the Gary Cup Series Season 6 Chevy 400, a race which had so much happening throughout it. I mean, it was crazy. So you had 6 drivers enter with a shot at the championship. 6 drivers with a shot at the championship. Something that I've never seen before. And then on top of that, right, so then some of them wreck out early, some of them have mechanical issues early, so they get knocked out. And then throughout the race, Levi Schoen's up front with Griffin Lynn. Schoen's comes in with a 2-point advantage over Lynn, but if they tie, Lynn gets the tiebreaker because of the full season points or whatever. So then it ends up Schoen's falls back after hitting the wall, so then he's, fully out of it. Luigi and Joe Jefferson get ahead of him, so now the 36 has the championship, he's leading the race. Then he gets up against the wall, and then he nails it, and then he drops back with the 14. So then the 14 is 1 point ahead of the 36, and then at some point the 36 gets back around the 5, and then the 14 falls back, and then it's a whole different scenario where now they're tied, and then the 14 gets passed, and then the 36 is bound with the 5 to stay ahead of him, and then the 14 is trying to stay ahead of the 34, and then meanwhile Luigi's up there trying to get to the 39, hoping that those drivers fall back even farther so that he could have a shot at the championship because he's in the championship battle as well. And then it ends up at the checker flag. The 36 stays ahead of the 5, the 14 falls behind the 34, the 42 cannot get to the 39. Lynn wins the championship by a point over Levi Schoen's and a point over Luigi. I have never seen a championship battle where 3 drivers come within 1 point of each other. I mean, that was an absolutely entertaining race, especially for the championship, and one that I don't think I'm ever going to see again. Disclaimer. When this audio was recorded, I had not done the Chevy 400 for Season 8 of the Gatorade Cup Series. Little did I know that I would top Season 6 of the Gatorade Cup Series. To answer your question, Luke, Season 8 of the Gatorade Cup Series, the Chevy 400, might be inside the top 5. It could possibly pass Season 6 for number 1 due to the craziness. If you've not seen it, I would suggest go check it out. But you had 5 drivers at the end come down to within 3 points of each other. Very similar, very eerily similar to how Season 6 went. So that's just a disclaimer. I had not recorded the race at that point, so I didn't know what it was like. So that would probably break it in. Let's go continue on to the other questions now. How infuriating was Kansas Season 3 through Season 5 for Gateway Cup Series, Target Series, and Penzo Truck Series? I was outraged. I was very, very outraged, just to be honest. This was really back before I knew how to really edit the NR track and I, so I didn't really know what to do to fix it. All I knew was that it sucked. It was horrible. And they would get into the wall off turn 4, go down to the apron, then come back up into turn 1 and cause a crash. So I didn't really know how to fix it. I thought it was just, I was mad throughout the race. You could kind of hear in the commentary how mad I would get. Luckily, I fixed it, but it was infuriating when I couldn't fix it. So that was actually a good question, because that's a time I try to forget about. Which do you like better, Gravedigger or Maximum Destruction? Now, I don't really follow Monster Jam as close anymore. No, they're on NBC now. I'm pretty sure that's the rumor. When I was growing up, I was a Gravedigger fan, so I guess I should probably just keep that allegiance. And yeah, I guess I should just keep that allegiance and stay with Gravedigger, I guess, since I was a Gravedigger fan growing up. Will you join the NRO? N-O. No. I mean, I'm happy being an independent, and I think I want to stay like that until I'm done. So, yeah, I think I'm just going to stay as an independent for now. I know that's the question. I know you're trying to get me to join, but I'm not joining any leagues for now. How long have I been watching NASCAR? So I have not watched NASCAR for a long time. My first race ever of watching NASCAR was the 2010 Daytona 500. My first full season was 2011. So it's not like I've been a NASCAR fan for a long time. 2010 Daytona 500 was the first one, and something that really stands out to me from that race was just how crazy those final 2 laps were at a bumpy, worn-out Daytona. I mean, this was a Daytona where handling produced, you had to have the handling in the car to be fast and to be competitive, and at the end, they were running pack racing 2 and 3 wide, 4 wide at points, and Dale Jr. came from 10th on the final restart in 2 laps up to second, battling with Jamie McGrary. I remember seeing him sideways off turn number 2, trying to save the car, then driving through the middle and bouncing off the drivers, getting to second, but then that run stalling out. I mean, it was a crazy race at the end. It was a great race to have as my first one. But 2011, I am blessed to have 2011 as my first NASCAR season. If I had maybe like 2012 or 2013 as my first season, I don't know if I would say I'm a NASCAR fan right now. Because 2011 was so entertaining, so many good races, so many different winners. I mean, it was a season for the ages with how good it was. You had so many winners, so many unpredictable races. I mean, it was a crazy season. And then for it to come down to Homestead in a tiebreaker where Stewart's making 4 wide moves and making moves on restarts. I mean, crazy season. And I'm so glad 2011 was my first one because, my gosh, I mean, it was insane. Insane season. Tony Stewart wins the championship in a tiebreaker over Carl Edwards. Just doesn't get better than that. What is your favorite race that you have watched? So, I'm a little biased. I'm going to admit when I say this. But the 2014 Daytona 500, for obvious reasons, first I'm a junior fan, so of course it's my favorite. But also, it was a great race from start to finish anyway, especially after the rain and the and the lights came on. Very entertaining race. They raced hard. They were switching the lead, trying to block, whatever. It was just a great race from start to finish. I'm glad Junior won it because it was a great race overall. But if I'm going with the non-bias, and honestly, there are a lot of races that I know have been good. I just don't really remember them because being a Junior fan, I'm kind of like groggy out of, I've kind of blanked out those races because I don't really, I can only remember a Junior finish really is what I'm trying to say. So I've kind of blocked them out of my memory. But, yeah, I mean, it was, if I had to say, like, a non-biased race, I could say a lot of races from 2018 alone. I really think that since Junior was not racing and racing back in, like, 20th position trying to hang on to his car, that it made a lot of these races better. Chicagoland, first of all. I mean, that was an insane race. We had battling for the lead throughout the race, and then we had that crazy finish. I mean, if I had to go from, if they had to, if they told me, okay, you're going to watch this 2018 Overton's 400, but you have to pay $10 to do it, if I went into that room with prior experience, knowing, how the race went, I would say, here's my $10, as long as they brainwashed me going into that room so that I didn't know how the race played out, because insane race. The first day of 500 at Martinsville. I mean, all these races I'm going to name, they have their own little perks to them, their own little, cool little things that happen during it. Obviously, Chicago is just crazy throughout. The first day to 500 at Martinsville, the best last run of a race I have seen in a long time, if not ever. I mean, there were 5 drivers with 10 to go, all on the same straightaway, all within a second of each other. The top 5 at the end were within a second of each other. And then Truex and Logano go side by side for 6 laps straight. 6 laps straight. And for it to come down to a bump and run in the final corner and bing and bang to the start-finish line, Martinsville, the first day of 500 from this season, the chase race, has to be one of my favorite races I've watched. And then throughout the race even, it was crazy. You had bumping and banging. You had this cool stage finishes. I mean, overall, that race was insane. You have the Roval, the Bank of America, Roval 400. Another crazy race. They went side by side at a road course for like 3 or 4 corners. That just doesn't happen. Okay, you just don't go, side by side through multiple corners of a road course, because at some point someone's going to gain the advantage. But no one gained the advantage. They were side by side for like half a lap at the Roval. Okay, that was insane. And then for the finish to be how it was, with the front 2 wrecking and then 3rd place winning, once again, insane. Las Vegas, the South Point 400. Something that doesn't really get talked about is, with like 25 to go, they were battling. It was like a recipe for a 4-car crash. Larson makes a 3-wide move on the restart, gets out front, then Brad Keselowski's using the different lanes trying to get to him, and the Truex with the longer run cars trying to come back into it. If Hamlin didn't wreck there, and if that went green to the end, I would have been okay, because it would have been a battle between Larson, Keselowski, and the Truex coming, who was the best car in the long run. Would have been insane. I would have... I'm sad Hamlin wrecked, actually, because that... ended how that run was going. But they were like battling using the different lanes. It was a crazy run there. And then you have the Bass Pro Shops NRA night race from this season. Crazy there. They're bound for the lead throughout the whole thing. You had the carnage of short tracks. You had the beating and banging. You had the tempers flaring. And you had a great finish. I mean, overall, those races I named, show me any one of those. Tell me, hey, you have to pay $10. You can watch one of these races. I don't know if I'd be able to decide, honestly, because they're all great. And I mean, obviously, my answer to the question is the 2014 Daytona 500. But without bias, one of those races that I just named, I would watch, and I'd probably be entertained with. I mean, that's just how great they were. And what type of music do you listen to, and do you have any favorite artists? So, I do listen to a wide variety of music. I have a lot of artists in it. Mostly it's rock. So that's... It's mostly rock, I would say. I don't really think there's much more than that. For favorite artists, though, a playlist of mine is just spread out among so many. I don't think I really have a favorite, per se, but there are a lot of great artists out there. But for sure, I love music, and it is a part of my daily life for years now. Do you plan to add a Rookie of the Year to your NR 2003 series? I actually do want to do that, but technically we have had an unofficial Rookie of the Year going for the past few seasons, where basically it's just the highest throughout the full season points is the Rookie of the Year. Whoever finishes higher in the full season points of rookies, in my opinion, gets the Rookie of the Year. So we technically have had an unofficial Rookie of the Year going for the past few seasons. From Derek Hamill, we have 3 questions. Have you ever thought of making an online NR 2003 league? It's actually funny you bring this up, because I have... It's actually kind of funny. If you asked me about 3 months ago, before, October, if you asked me, I would have said, no, I don't have time for it. Absolutely not. I don't even know what it's like. But after commenting on the Talladega race with Napa Fan, crazy, crazy race. It was very, very fun to do with Napa Fan. It showed me how fun online racing can be. It would be something I would love to do an online series. I just don't think I have the time to do it. I mean, that's unfortunate, but I just don't have the time to do it. But it would definitely be something, if I ever had time to do, I would love to start an online league. But there's so many out there right now that I'm just fine to, if anyone needs me to commentate online races here and there, I would absolutely be up to it. Like Talladega, I would love to do that again. Any other races, I would be fine with doing. So, I'm sticking with offline for now, though. What is your favorite current driver in each of NASCAR's top 3 series? So, this is actually kind of hard because I don't have a favorite driver in Cup, and in trucks I just kind of watch it for the racing. But I haven't really thought about it since Junior retired, but I would say for Cup, probably Jimmy. I mean, I was very excited at the end of the Roval race to see him in contention, and I mean, who doesn't love the veteran who's kind of struggling, going through a phase of his career where he's kind of on the downward spiral. So I'd have to say Jimmy. Hopefully he could get back to victory lane this season with the new package and all. And Xfinity, it would probably be a JRM driver. Who did they have, like, what? Allgaier, Sadler's gone, Annette, and they have Gregson, right? And we don't know the 9's, like, who? I don't know. But probably Allgaier then, honestly. I mean, just JRM in general. And then in trucks is tough because I would say Moffitt, but he doesn't have a ride, does he? Like, he's out of his 16. So Todd Gilliland, I would say, just because he's younger and he's the son of David Gilliland. I want to see him perform. So, yeah, maybe Todd Gilliland. I mean, that's kind of hard to do because, Xfinity's really the only one that I know. Cup and trucks. Ooh. And then which Roller Coaster Tycoon game do you like the best? My whole childhood was spent in Roller Coaster Tycoon. And you could give me any of those first 3, and I will spend hours with it throughout a day. And don't give me any of that new crap, the mobile games, what do they call it, Roller Coaster Tycoon World, whatever the new shit is, do not give me it because it sucks. Number 1 is all the nostalgia. Number 2 improved on number 1 and made it better. And then number 3 just changed the whole series for the better with the whole, 3D stuff. But I would, number 1 was just cool. It had its own little charm. Number 2 just improved on that, made designing stuff much easier and better. And then they added in the sandbox editor thing, so where people made maps like the biggest size you could and then gave you the most money so that you could end up just creating whatever park you wanted. You had everything at the beginning and whatnot, so that was pretty cool. And then number 3 was just like, hey, we're taking Roller Coaster Tycoon 1 and 2, we're just making it 3D. It was still pretty fun. I would have to say number 2, though, just because I just feel like it's the best, but I've spent hours on all 3 of them. So that's just something I loved. Favorite sports other than NASCAR? So I do have some favorite sports other than NASCAR: soccer and football. Or I guess American football and football to every other part of the world. But yeah. So football, I do root for the Steelers. And then soccer, I've just watched soccer. I used to play soccer, actually, so I have watched soccer. So, yeah, those are the sports I like other than NASCAR. Do you believe Reed Sorenson was screwed over in his career? And do you believe he deserves one final shot in Xfinity? To answer your question, I don't really think Reed Sorenson was really ever that great. However, I think it would be cool to see him in a top-tier Xfinity ride to see how he does. I mean, maybe, he'll find some life, like Allgaier found life there in a top ride. Same with Elliott Sadler. So I think it would be cool to see Reed Sorenson in a top-tier Xfinity shot. Just to see how he does. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. Do you like Aric Almirola, and do you like snow? So Aric Almirola, he's good. I mean, I think he has that cool, like, kind of story coming from RPM where he wasn't really ever performing, trying to just get top 20s, top 15s, to now being with SHR, making the chase, finishing top 5 in points. I mean, just great overall, great story. Aric Almirola, the only thing I've ever had bad with Almirola was after Texas, where he was complaining about Joe Logano racing him too hard. I thought that was pretty stupid. I think he got over that, though, so I'm over it. And do you like snow? Snow's fine, like the first snowfall of the year. After that, though, it kind of just becomes a nuisance, honestly. But, yeah, I guess I kind of like snow. It just depends on how much. There can be too much snow sometimes. There was that blizzard a few years ago. It was a cool... that's the only time I ever want to have a blizzard, because that's like a once-in-a-lifetime experience to see that blizzard. But, I mean, that was a lot of snow. More Fantasy Tracks and Fantasy Tracks Only series. So, Fantasy Tracks, in R2003, that's what he's referring to, TJ Hanley is. So, Fantasy Tracks are cool. When new ones come out, I do love to test them and see if they would be a good fit. For example, Denver, I've tested that. It's pretty good, so we're going to use it for the next few seasons. And a fantasy only series, that is something that would be cool. I don't think I have the time to do it. If someone else would want to do it, that would be cool. Especially if they use fantasy cars as well, and that'd be even cooler. But if I ever had time to do it, I would probably do it. And then he has a fourth series that's non-NASCAR associated. So an IndyCar series that's been on my radar for the past year or so. So maybe a time to do that will be soon. I mean, love to do an IndyCar series. I don't really think of any other series. ARCA's technically, I don't know about ARCA. I mean, I've done ARCA before. It's technically not NASCAR associated, but I kind of make it associated. So yeah, an IndyCar series has been on my radar for the past year or so. So we'll see if we ever have time for that. Maybe I'll do an IndyCar series. And then college series coming up soon, in end of summer. How do you think it will affect the future of videos? Well, as for the series, I'm hoping to time it so the first few weeks of college will be just after the end of a season, so I can see how college goes and I can go from there. Hopefully I can time it just like that, and just want to see what college life is like and if I'd be able to do both. And then the plan is, though, to continue the series, but to maybe make uploads less frequent. Obviously I upload every day, so possibly make uploads every other day or every 3 days, weekends, something like that. Just an easier upload schedule for me, and to where people can watch and enjoy without having to wait too long. So we'll see how it goes. Hopefully I can continue to do series. Why am I due to this season? Sadly, that's something I do not know, something I cannot control. Maybe that championship luck kind of ran out. Can we race at Figure 8 Bowl this season? Because, it's season 8 of the Gary Cup Series Figure 8 Bowl. But I think it's a little late for that because we are in the championship now. So it's just a little late for that. That's kind of, if I thought that would have been really nice. So TJ, that was a good thought there. But sadly, I didn't think of that in time. Can we run alternate versions of tracks? For example, he says something like the Charlotte Roval, the different layout of Sonoma, Watkins Gun with the boot. So that's something I've been looking at. I'm waiting for the Roval to come out for Charlotte to make it all nice, whatever. Watkins Gun with the boot has something I have tested, and I want to see how a new Sonoma would do. So it's something I've been looking at. We'll just see, because the schedule is kind of packed right now. We'll just have to see if there are any openings in the schedule after this season, and we'll see if it could come. And assuming Gary Cup Series reaches 10 seasons, which I'm hoping it does, I'm hoping to do that by the end of 2019. Could we have a Hall of Fame at the end of the seasons? So Hall of Fame being like drivers getting inducted in. Hall of Fame is something I would consider, but only when I'm done. When I'm done with NR 2003, I would love to have a Hall of Fame and induct drivers in, every day for a year or something. Oh, not every day for a year because that's 365 drivers, but like to have some of the best drivers in the Hall of Fame: Jeff Bright, Eli Bright, Luke Rainey, Code Luigi. Some of those drivers that have done a lot for the series. TJ Hanley, asked the question, you'd probably be in there, but yeah, probably when the series are fully over is something I would do that. Sometime I would do that. So, yeah, Hall of Fame, maybe when I'm done with NR 2003. But that's it. That's the questions. Thanks to everyone who contributed. Maybe I'll do one of these in the future. And I don't know when this is coming out. So if it hasn't come out, if it's out before Christmas, happy holidays. If it's out after Christmas, happy New Year. I mean, I don't know when this is coming out. I haven't even recorded, whatever. So, thank you guys for watching this Q&A. Whenever this is, I don't know. If it's out before the finales for the series, enjoy the finales. If it's not out before the finales, and I hope you guys make signups. I mean, I guess that's the only thing I can do. So thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys for the next video.